Of a preacher from the back room, calling my name and I follow just to find you. I trace the faith to a broken down television. I wanna get better. While my friends were getting high and chasing girls down parkway lines, I was losing my mind because the love that I gave wasted on a nice face. In a blaze of fear, I put a helmet on a helmet, counting seconds through the night and got carried away. So now I'm standing on the overpass, screaming at the cars. Hey, I wanna get better.
Welcome to another series of Adobe Create Now online, bringing you inspiration from the worlds of video, web design, publishing and digital imaging. This is the video show and we will be joined by a whole host of creative video professionals from the UK and the Nordics. They'll be talking about their recent projects as well as sharing the features that they find essential to their work from the Creative Cloud. They'll also be giving some tips as to how to succeed in the industry. Along with all of that, we'll have the very latest features from the Creative Cloud as launched at Adobe Max in October. So if you work in video or motion graphics, we have a whole host of tips, advice and creative insights lined up for you. First up, video producer and writer Jarle Leirpoll will be sharing his top 5 essential Premiere Pro features. Video editor and Premiere Pro trainer Alex Macleod will also be showing us the Premiere Pro features and workflows he considers to be essential to his work. We'll be taking a look at the latest mobile offering from the Creative Cloud, Premiere Clip, for powerful editing on the move. A motion graphics artist and video producer Michael Petit will be sharing his favourite After Effects features. Anders Prince will be sharing his favourite features in After Effects CC and Cinema 4D that help him in his everyday work. And we'll be taking a look at the latest Creative Cloud video product updates. As well as all of that, we'll be taking a little step into the future as we take a sneak peek at Animal, the After Effects facial recognition animation project. You can join the conversation on Twitter using the hashtag #CreateNow, so do let us know what you think as you watch the show. Now it's time to take a look at our fantastic competition. Here are the details. We really want to hear from you, so take part in our Twitter competition by sending in a creative tweet to tell us about your top Creative Cloud features. Our Adobe panel of judges will select their favourite tweet from each Northern European country, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland and the UK. The winners will receive a 12-month membership to the Creative Cloud. But not only that, the overall tweet from all the regions will win a Microsoft Surface Pro 3. So get posting your tweets using the hashtag #CreateNow. The competition is open from midday on the 10th of November till midnight on the 13th of November. And you can see full details, terms and conditions at this URL. Good luck. Official Adobe test pilot, video producer and writer Jarle Leirpoll knows more about Premiere Pro than most people. He caught up with my colleague Max over in Sweden to share his top Premiere Pro CC features.
Thanks, Iona, and welcome to the Adobe studio in Stockholm, where I am joined by Jarle Leirpoll, who is a filmmaker, and he's doing a lot of training, and he's one of our master trainers. And he's going to take you through his 5 favorite features since CS6. So, where do we start, Jarle?
Well, number 1, the DCP export. Digital Cinema Package.
So when do you use that?
Well, lots of my students, they want their films to go to film festivals and stuff. And, making a DCP, a Digital Cinema Package, that used to be very expensive. But now it's just, like any other export from Premiere. So if I want to export this timeline here, I can just hit export and make sure I choose the Raptor DCP here in export settings. And then I can choose between 24 and 25 frames per second. Now I'm from Norway, and this was shot in 25, so I'm going to stick to 25. And then if you don't know what full scope or flat is, just choose the one that looks better.
Yep.
And then export. Well, we've already done that. So here is my finished movie.
Okay.
And
you can't really play a DCP in like VLC or anything like that?
No, but I use the DCP, the free version of that player, and it works great. The logo will always be there up in the corner, but that's okay, just for checking the film.
Yep.
So and this plays back the film, and it's the colors look right on my screen,
even though DCP actually has another color space.
Exactly. So this player just converts this to the computer's color space, and I can see that everything looks good.
Really, really good.
So this is a killer feature. Fantastic.
That was DCP export. Let's move on to feature number 2.
Yes, masking and tracking. Now, I can, of course, add any effect to the image in Premiere, but it will be on the whole frame.
Yep.
Now we have the ability to use masks. We have these circular masks and rectangular masks, and we can do some feathering by just dragging here, and I can expand or contract. So it's very easy to use. Now with the latest version, we also got the pen tool, so we can make our own masks, just whatever shape we like, okay?
Yeah. Really, really powerful.
Yeah. So, and I've used that here. So on this clip, I have 3 instances of RGB curves. Now here is a man and his face is a little bit dark, okay? So I wanted to just lift just the levels in his face, not the rest of the image. So I set my first RGB curves to secondary color correction and chose just the skin tones. I'll put it on here. So now it's just doing the skin tones, but it's also combined with this mask, okay? So that means it's just affecting skin tones and only inside the mask. So when I turn this on and off, you can see that his skin is getting brighter, but not the rest of the image. And then he's also very dark under the caps here, and because of the sunshades, you see I've lifted his levels there. And the same thing, it's just a mask. Now these are automatically tracking. So here you can see his eyes. Here you can't, but the mask just stays on, dead on all the time. And the same with this other mask. It's dead on, and I did not help the tracker. I just started tracking from here and hit the track backwards button, because we can track backwards.
And in this case it makes perfect sense, because the last frame had the whole face in the image, which makes it easier for it
exactly
to do the tracking.
So I'll do that again. So because so I just hit the track backwards button here, and it tracked all the way to here. And it's pretty amazing. You can't even see his face here, right? But the mask still knows kind of where to be. So this is fantastic. And just to finish this, I added another instance of RGB curves with a little S curve and some color correction. So, I add all this on one layer.
Yeah.
And everything still plays back in real time, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. And in the previous version, you would have had to use like 3, 4, 5 different shapes and track matte effects and
yeah, for this about 5 layers.
Yeah. So it's a really neat feature that
Yep.
showed up in CC 2014 and with some improvements as well in 2014.1. So let's move on to feature number 3,
Smart rendering.
smart rendering.
Smart rendering is, if you have a timeline with the same codec that you're going out to, you can export very fast, at least with some formats. And one of the formats is DNX HD. So this is DNX HD, but this stuff here, that's H.264 DSLR footage.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I did here is I rendered this, as you can see with the green color here, I rendered this portion. How did I render it? Well, sequence and render into out. And the reason why this is nice now is that I've set my editing mode to DNX 1080p. That sets the preview codec to DNX.
Yeah.
So when I render here, this is now DNX footage because it's rendered now. Yeah. So I have a new file. This was DNX already, so
Nothing to do there.
yeah.
in that
But
case.
if I now hit export, then you can see that if I click match sequence settings and then export, it will not be very fast at the start because that was DSLR footage, and now it's looking back to the original files.
And re-rendering everything again.
Yeah, but I already rendered this, right? So I shouldn't have to. And now the last part goes very quick because this other stuff here was already the same codec. Well, there's just one extra click, and that's use previews. Well, normally I don't use previews because previews, if they are like iframe only MPEG, bad quality. But this is great quality DNX HD. So here I can use the previews and hit export, and look at that fly.
That's really cool because it's just copying the frames from the previously done render, right?
Yeah, and this was about 32 seconds of material exported in maybe 2 seconds. And we can do this now for ProRes on the Mac. You can do it with the DNX HD like I showed here, and also for the GoPro Cineform codec and the AVC Intra and some other stuff.
Codecs as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really great. So, number 4.
Render and replace. Now, and I've done that already here because when you have After Effects compositions dynamically linked in Premiere, it can be slow. This is not even updating now, okay? But this one has been rendered to, again, a DNX HD file. And this is, playing back smoothly now.
And the previous workflow to do that was to export that section, import it, replace it.
Yeah.
And then you need to keep track of which comp that was actually there if you want to go back and make any changes.
And now you go just right click and render and replace. And it renders a new file like I've done here, and everything is nice, okay? But then you want to go back.
And do some changes.
Yeah, and that's easy too. Just right click and restore unrendered. And now this is again a dynamically linked After Effects file. And if I go here, I'll just make some very obvious like a curve adjustment like this. Go back to Premiere and you see the whole thing just updates like you're used to with dynamic link. And then you can render and replace again if you want to.
That's a really good feature that can save you a lot of time and also hardware resources, right?
Yeah, you will save a lot of RAM and you will definitely get a much snappier project because dynamic link is kind of a resource hog. Now you can just replace it with a rendered file and still go back to the After Effects project.
Really good feature. That was actually introduced in 8.1 and sort of ordered by David Fincher for the Gone Girl project that heavily used dynamic links.
Yeah.
So. Cool. Let's move on to the last feature of your favorite 5.
Yeah, this is GPU-debayering.
So, debayering, what's that?
With the RAW formats like RED, like the Sony RAW, like Cinema DNG, it's fantastic to have those RAW formats that are actually just data from the image sensor. It's not really an image yet. To make it into an image, you have to do the debayering process. Kind of heavy computing.
Yep.
And even though we've always had the possibility to go down to 1/4 res in our timeline, even though we can do that, it's not really been perfect playback, at least on a laptop like this. And the reason was you still had to debayer the whole image before you could read out that 1/4 resolution. So, but now we have the GPU debayering, so it's happening on the GPU, so the CPU can just do the 1/4 res extraction. So now I can play back 1/4 res red raw material on my laptop without dropping frames, which is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And it also works for cinema DNG, for example, from the Blackmagic Design cameras and some other formats as well. And it's a really, really nice feature that can speed up your work a lot because you don't have to transcode, but you can still do stuff in real time.
Exactly.
As long as you have the drive speed.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Jarle, for your 5 favorite features that has come since CS6. And with that, I hope that has given you some tips at least. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I went to catch up with video editor and Adobe Premiere Pro trainer Alex Macleod at his base in Media City, Salford, UK, to find out which Premiere Pro CC features he just can't do without. Alex, thanks so much for having us here. Can you give us a little bit of background as to what it is that you do, first of all?
I guess what I describe myself as a content producer, because I shoot material, I can edit, I do sound, I can light, and I get hired to basically complete the whole picture. So on a project's inception, I'll go there, I'll film it, I'll talk about the ideas, and then we'll do the edit and deliver the final product. I don't really see it as a job, I see it as a way of life. It's just a fun thing. And
you've kind of extended your skills into all areas.
Yeah. I get all out of my job, I really love it.
And this is a fantastic location, just right next to Media City in Salford. You've got a whole range of clients around here. So you've got ITV across the way, you've got BBC, you've got massive recording studios here, a lot of indie productions, I imagine, going on as well. You've got Manchester United, again, another massive media producer. You must get a whole range of different projects just from your location, right?
Yeah, being part of Media City it's a very exciting place to be. There's tons of potential clients on the go. There's projects happening all the time, and being right on the doorstep is just incredible. I mean, outside of London, this is the biggest place for production.
Yeah.
And we are picking up clients such as ITV and BBC, and it's great to be a part of it. We're actually cutting a proof of concept trailer at the moment for something that we hope to get commissioned, and we're doing that in conjunction with Shine, just based around the corner.
Yeah, big production company.
Big production company, one of the biggest in the country. Right now I'm working for a major football TV channel, and I'm cutting a documentary which will go out in November, which I'm really excited about. And I'm also working on a music video for a very up-and-coming metal band. It's a pretty dark video.
Fantastic. We're going to see a bit of that later.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of routine. I'm allergic to it. In fact, it freaks me out. I don't like it. So doing what I do is every day is just completely different. And
you've been working with the Adobe products and video tools for a really long time now, right? What is it for you that sets them apart from other tools?
I've been working with primarily Adobe Premiere for a very, very long time for the 3-point edit, and its cutting tools. It's always been a good tool. So I've been using it since version 1.5.
Way back in the day.
When it had the horse on the box. And I think it was an XM1 and a horse on the box. And I've always been a massive fan of that particular editing tool. And as I've grown up as an editor, the software has grown up as well. From version CS5 onwards, basically Adobe kind of said, well, we will support native codecs.
Yeah.
Now, at that time, I was using Final Cut Pro, and basically Adobe said, well, here you go, you don't have to rewrap any codecs to ProRes, you can just go and start
You've
working
got the
with them.
native support right there ready to go.
And as soon as that happened, I was like, right, well, if it takes me half a day to rewrap a load of footage into ProRes, well, I can usually have the job done by then. So I consciously made the switch then, and I haven't really looked back.
Yeah, so that's pretty early on, actually, compared to a lot of people in the industry. I mean, I know lots of people work across different tools. Is the fact that there's the integration between the other products a big draw for you?
That's another thing. I use After Effects a lot for titles. I use Keylight for keying green screen material.
Yeah.
And I also use Adobe Audition as well for compressing and making it, you know, kind of finishing the sound. I don't really see it as Premiere as one piece of software. I see the whole suite as just a massive kind of Swiss Army knife for everything that needs to be done.
Absolutely. I don't know about you, but I usually have about 4 or 5 different applications open at any one time.
And if you ever sit down and think what it is you're actually doing, it's like, well, wow. But you just do it. You just open up the program, you do it, you get that job done. Dynamic link, done, finished, it works.
And the GPU performance is so rock solid now, isn't it? You can run all of these things at once.
I've got a custom built editing rig which I kind of built around what I do, and it's just it's flawless, you know. It never hiccups. It kind of sets you free creatively, because if you're not thinking about the software, you just get being creative, and the software is helping you do that, but you're not thinking about that, you're just doing it. And when you're in that
that's how it should
particular
be.
zone, that's how it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. So the CC versions of the video products launched back now in June 2013, which is a long time ago, right? There's been many iterations and many drops and updates since then, so lots of new features. You've had a look back at all of those different features, and you've pulled out your favourite, kind of most used, best loved. Are you going to show us a few of those now?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. There's some features that I really like, and I can kind of give you a quick rundown.
Fantastic. Let's take a look.
So one of the things I'm working on at the moment is a music video for a Manchester-based metal band, which I'm a big fan of, called Asylum City Zoo.
Yeah.
The essential principle is that they kind of get kidnapped, hijacked by some lunatic who's a big fan of the band. So that's what the intro is, and I thought I'd run maybe the first 30 seconds so you get a rough idea of what's going on. As you can see, it's a combination of performance and drama storyline.
Got a lot of green screen stuff in there as well as...
and that's what I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about using one of the new features, which is Master Clip Effects, in order to apply effects. And the effects I'm going to apply is Ultra Key. I've arranged these very, very roughly in a kind of assembly edit, but I've not applied a key to any of these clips yet. Days gone by, what I'd do is I'd get a key, and then I'd copy and paste it on each of the clips that gets used. But what I'm going to give you a demonstration of now is applying an effect to a clip from the project window on a master level, so then every time that clip is seen on the sequence, it will have those effects. So I want to apply a key to this clip here inside this sequence. So first of all, I need to reveal this clip inside the project window, so I'll right click, revealing project, and there you can see I've got the clip. Now I'm going to apply an Ultra Key, so I'll do a bit of a search from my effects window, so I'll just type in Ultra. There we go, there's the effect. And I will take that effect now and click and drag it onto the clip inside the project window. So you can see I've applied it there. Now I'm going to double click that clip and open up my effects controls window, which you'll see here. And now you can see the Ultra Key effect has been applied. You've got your eyedropper tool, which basically allows you to sample a particular pixel. So this is fairly well evenly lit, so I'll just sample that part there. Immediately what you can see is the clip goes kind of semi-transparent. Within the Ultra Key effect, it allows me to view the clip's alpha channel, which immediately you can see that you've got some kind of semi-transparent areas which are manifested as grey. So the idea is we need to kill those. So I'll switch over my setting to aggressive, and you can see that pretty quick that's done the job. So on a basic level, I'm happy with that. When this is a real world example, I will make more time.
Bit more fine tuning.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I'll spend more time on it. Anyway, so I'll switch back to composite now, and you can see that clip on my sequence has now got that key applied. So let's see where else that clip comes into play. So I'll scroll across, and you can see that there's that clip again.
Fantastic. So really time-saving feature there for your workflow, particularly with long, complicated edits where shots from the same clip appear throughout.
Yeah, really, really good feature.
Right. So what's up next?
So next, one of the features I really like is the ability to track particular parts of a shot within the effects controls window and apply an effect and then add that tracking effect to it.
So this is something that's come from After Effects originally.
Essentially, yeah.
Into Premiere Pro, now sitting in there as a useful tool without you having to jump out of the application.
Yeah. So the clip I've got on the timeline, the task is basically this license plate. We wanna kind of get rid of that. We want to obscure it because we don't want it in the shot.
Yeah.
The effect I'll be using is a Gaussian blur. So I'm going to go and grab that from my effects window, which I will find there.
So you've got a little bit of a camera move here, and then you've obviously got the car coming towards camera, so you've got some scaling changing there with the subject that it's tracking.
In the old days, it would be a case of keyframing from frame to frame.
Joyful task,
yeah,
right?
exactly. I mean, we did it, but it took quite a while. Anyway, so I took the Gaussian blur on. Basically, in your effects controls window, you get an option to apply a polygon mask, which is attached to the Gaussian blur. So we'll do that, and we're just going to kind of cover the license plate. So there, that goes there. And I'll just do a quick job, just for demonstration purposes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the play forward button to ask it to track this particular part of that shot. So let's see how this works out. And you can see as it plays forward, it's basically doing some thinking.
And so this is taking account of the fact that the thing that it's tracking is getting bigger in the shot. It's coming in. It does a bit of perspective as well, doesn't it?
It sure does. Yep, the shot resizes at one point as well, so it takes that into account. So actually, if you think about what it's doing, there's quite a lot involved.
There's a lot of working out going on.
Absolutely,
behind the scenes there.
You can also see that inside your effects controls window, it's actually drawing keyframes at each stage of this, which is what you would have to do manually.
And of course, you can then go in and edit those and reposition slightly.
Yeah, you can reposition if it's not done as good a job as you wanted. So when this gets out of the shot, I'll stop the track. There you go. If I play this forward, you can see that that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
So then all we need to do is increase the blurriness of the Gaussian blur. Let's say we'll go with 42. There you go. Can't really see that anymore.
Yeah.
If that's a bit blocky, we can feather the edges, make it a tiny bit softer. Play it forward, maybe increase the blurriness a little more. Unfeather it a little. There you go.
Job done.
Yeah, that's an extremely useful feature, which will save a lot of people a lot of time. I think.
With those new masking features, can you apply that pretty much across any video effect then?
Any video effect that's available, so it might be an extreme colour effect, which you can basically track to individual eyes as well, because it's not just the polygon, you get the ellipse tool as well.
Great, so that's After Effects technology there, sitting directly within Premiere Pro to really help you speed up your workflow.
It's really useful, yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. What have you got up next?
So one of the things that Premiere Pro released quite recently was the ability to mix the audio of clips as opposed to the audio of tracks. So what we're looking at the moment is a sequence that I've set up to demonstrate the clip mixing versus track mixing within Premiere Pro.
Great.
Basically on track 1 we've got some Atmos that came from the camera, which I don't actually want, so I'm just going to mute that. On track 2 we've got interview sound, which obviously we're going to need, and on track 3 we've got a piece of music. What I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate using the clip mixer to increase the volume of the interview clips and the track mixer to live mix the music.
To automate the mix.
So first of all, I'm going to rename that to music. And on track 2, I'm going to rename that to interview. And on track 1, I'm going to rename that to Cam Atmos. So next thing, I'm going to switch the automation modes of the music onto right. And then I'm going to pay attention to these two panels as we play this sequence. So I need to fade that down. Maybe I'm going to push his interview up a little bit on the clip there. Fade that back up there. And then we'll fade back down.
Really strong team of 6.
That clip goes up there.
Talent in the team, so we're expecting to be able to put in a really good performance.
Push that music back up there. And basically you can see there that we've gone through and mixed the sound as it plays. And just to give you a rough idea as to what the automation mode allowed me to do is if I show the keyframes for, rather than clip keyframes, but actually for track keyframes, each fade I've done is basically come in as keyframes.
Brilliant. So some time-saving features again, but for audio this time. What is the final feature that you've got to show us?
So what I wanted to show you finally really is some of the export options that you've got, which are really quite extensive. There's so many different options when it comes to export and when you're ready to send out the project. And I'll basically give you a brief rundown of some of the formats that are included within the export window in Premiere Pro. H.264, very common one, very popular. Some of the new ones that we're finding becoming useful as DCP. A DCP is essentially a digital cinema package. One of the short films I worked on, The Flying Lesson, we did actually have to send out a DCP. We did it in After Effects and it took a very, very, very long time. We essentially made about 28,000 JPEG 2000s,
Right.
and then rewrapped them inside
Right.
a DCP, and that took a very, very, very long time. So the ability to send out a DCP within the export window is...
And this will still happen in the background if you send it out into media
via
encoder.
media encoder, absolutely,
Right.
yeah. Another really useful format that you can send things out now is AS11, which
Mm-hmm.
is fast becoming the standard for TX transmission for broadcasters,
Yeah.
being spearheaded at the moment by the BBC.
And why is that format particularly favoured at the moment?
One of the things that, as an editor, you struggle with is every single broadcaster says, oh, well, I want it as an MXF, or I
Right.
want it as a DNX HD.
Yeah.
Essentially, the AS11 is trying to be a standardised export
Across
format.
the industry.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think as time moves forward, we will find that being the standard export. One of the other things you can do within this media encoder window, you can give a stamp to the export as you send
Right.
it out.
Like a watermark kind of thing.
Absolutely a watermark. So, for instance, the name overlay option here, if I click that, the sequence name gets
Mm-hmm.
stamped onto the file that will be exported. You can also apply a timecode for approval. So
Right.
when
So
your
this is
clients,
really good when someone's watching, they can make specific
Yeah.
notes to feed back to you.
Yeah, and when your clients come back to you, you can make sure that the exact timecode they're referring to is the exact timecode you've got on yours, which again makes alterations and amendments really useful.
Alex, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. Some
problem.
really great tips and advice there. Lots of features for people to try out. You're obviously a big Premiere fan, right?
Yeah, I use this software every single day. It's basically part of my life. I know that sounds really sad, but it's something I really enjoy using.
Yeah.
And yeah, I see it as kind of like a hybrid of all the editing suites that are out there.
Right.
You can kind of tailor it and make it behave however you wish. It's very, very, very flexible.
Yeah.
And it's just a joy to use. Yeah.
And we've always tried with the video products to keep them as open as possible so that you can bring media and projects in from all over. Do you find that is something that you still do a lot?
Absolutely, yeah. I migrate projects from one to another.
Yeah.
I import sequences from one project into another. I work in collaboration with other people as well. And one of
Yeah.
the things I really like is the fact that I'm based on Windows, but I work with a lot of people who are based on Mac OS. You can actually swap project files between the two platforms. And there's
No
no
issues
issues
at all.
There's no issues at all, and
Yeah.
that is quite a big thing actually. I don't think we shout about that enough, but
Sure.
it's super useful to being able to do that.
And you actually train Premiere Pro as well, right?
Yeah, I've been training for I guess about 5 years now. I find it brilliant because A, it's great for networking,
Yeah.
and B, it keeps your skills sharp.
Of
So you know, every single part of Premiere Pro I'm kind of across.
Fully
and,
up to speed with.
Yeah,
yeah.
you know, I've got kind of an in-depth knowledge of the program,
Hmm.
but I wouldn't have the confidence to train it if I wasn't using it every day. Also, what I like about training is you'll learn techniques from other editors
Yeah, yeah.
who use other programs.
So you're working with people on the courses, you're kind of networking with them,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, and it's brilliant.
Yeah.
You'll get workflow tips from other editors.
There's so many ways to do things, aren't there, in all
Absolutely,
of
yeah.
these applications.
Yeah.
That's one of the hardest things, is working out which is the most effective for that particular
Yeah,
task.
you should always be open to new ways of working, I
Yeah.
think.
And actually, the way in which we're delivering our training material now is a lot of short form videos. So
Yep.
as soon as we get new updates to the products, you can jump straight to those tutorials
Yep.
from the desktop tool or from your online
Yeah.
space. It is easier, isn't it? Although we're releasing a lot of stuff, it has become a bit easier to keep up
Yeah,
to speed
it's
with
very
things
accessible.
in your lunch hour.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've found that I've looked at particular features and it's taken me maybe 5-6 minutes to watch that feature, but it's ended up saving me a few hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really.
Yeah. And what I'm noticing is that there's been a massive upsurge of big broadcasters actually moving
Yeah.
across to using the Adobe suite. So, for instance, last year we trained Viacom, and
Right.
Viacom basically comprises of MTV, Nickelodeon,
Yeah.
Comedy Central.
Yeah, yeah.
Other broadcasters I've trained include Sony Pictures, ITV, Channel 4.
Yeah,
And a lot of these are kind of moving across, and it's been nothing but positive for me.
Fantastic.
And you know, I've heard a lot of good things basically since doing the training. I
Yeah.
keep in touch with a lot of the people that I trained, and they're loving the Premiere Pro as well, and it's
Yeah.
you know it's great.
Oh, it's one big happy
It's
Premiere
good to be
Pro
a part
family
of,
now.
yeah. And you know, as a genuine fan of the software,
Yeah.
it's great that people like it as well.
Yeah,
you know, other people
responding
like
well
it
to
as
it.
well.
Yeah, I mean, I had the same opinion when I first moved over in the early days of
Yeah.
CS3. Actually, just the compatibility between all of the applications,
Yeah,
the
it's
graphic stuff
brilliant.
that I could do with it, the motion graphics,
Yeah,
as well
yeah,
as
totally.
Photoshop
Yeah.
work as well, is just great. So I'm glad that you're loving it so much. Have you got any other advice or tips to people out there wanting to get into the industry? Tell us about the secret of your success.
Well, I think the biggest thing I'd say is love what you do. If you sat watching a TV show,
Yeah.
watch the edits, watch how
Yeah.
it's shot, watch how people
bit
are framed,
exhausting.
and just kind of really pull it to bits.
Yeah.
And you know, go out and shoot some stuff. It's so easy these days. Most mobile phones will shoot 1080p. You get a nice sharp image. You just,
Yeah.
you know, perhaps maybe download 30-day trial, give it a go, bring some media in, just do some chops and get stuck in, basically, is what I'd say.
Because we've been talking about the fact that you shoot and edit and do some producing, directing, that sort of thing as well. I mean, I used to do that at the BBC as well, and what I found was that every single element within that process informed all of the others. So do you find that makes you more efficient in every area, having that understanding?
I think to be a successful content producer, it's a good idea to have a clear idea of the big picture. So know how to edit. You don't have to edit to a super advanced degree, but you need to know kind of what the editor needs in terms of to make a piece. If you're an editor, it's a good idea to have a go operating a camera, because then you've got the other perspective. And lighting wise, it's just a good idea to just kind of be as keen to learn all the disciplines as you can, because that will make you a much better content producer, in my opinion.
Alex, thank you so much for your time. It's been really, really great to talk to you.
No
We
probs.
really appreciate it, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Cool.
We really want to hear from you, so take part in our Twitter competition by sending in a creative tweet to tell us about your top Creative Cloud features. Our Adobe panel of judges will select their favourite tweet from each Northern European country: Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland and the UK. The winners will receive a 12-month membership to the Creative Cloud. But not only that, the overall tweet from all the regions will win a Microsoft Surface Pro 3. So get posting your tweets using the hashtag #CreateNow. The competition is open from midday on the 10th of November till midnight on the 13th of November. And you can see full details, terms and conditions at this URL. Good luck. The October release of the Creative Cloud sees an impressive array of iOS mobile applications join its ranks. The Premiere Pro compatible Premiere Clip is the powerful video mobile application that allows you to edit, polish, sync and share your video projects on the move.
These days, we are capturing video with multiple devices at a higher frequency than ever before. And you're seeing all kinds of stuff like this, right? People running around with everyday devices, capturing video like pros, and the quality is only getting better. But for the most part, this video has remained stuck on the device. Well, how can you easily edit all of these clips across all of your devices? And what if you could do all of this with the option of bringing it into Premiere Pro to take it to the next level? I'd like to invite my colleague Megan Keane from Adobe, from the Premiere Pro team and a filmmaker herself, to introduce Adobe Premiere Clip. Welcome, Megan.
Thank you, Scott. I am super excited to be here to show you guys Adobe Premiere Clip. Premiere Clip is an app that allows you to create and edit videos all on your mobile device. As Scott said, I'm a filmmaker by trade, but even in my life, there are times when I want to create a video and I just want to keep it simple. This is why Premiere Clip is so awesome, because as a designer or a photographer or an artist, you can create videos having never seen the inside of Premiere Pro. Of course, if you're well-versed in Premiere Pro, Premiere Clip is another great tool to add to your toolset. So for example, my sister is a fashion designer, and I recently captured some iPhone footage at a shoot she was doing for the upcoming season of her line. So I want to take that footage and create a short video that she can use for social media, sort of a sneak peek getting, behind the scenes of the shoot. Getting started on Premiere Clip is super straightforward, because I can either access video files saved to my Creative Cloud or directly from my camera roll. So I just select the clips I want to use, and getting started is as easy as that. Now, all of the clips are added to my sequence in the order that they were shot. So if I want to change that order, I just drag and drop. Right here on my iPhone, I can do all sorts of work with exposure and highlights, audio, even add slow motion. But personally, I like to capture on my iPhone, but when I want to do more editing work, I like the larger real estate of an iPad. So let's switch over to the iPad.
So it's important to point out, so Megan could have done all of her editing on the iPhone, but because of the creative profile at work, every clip that she added, every edit that she applied was saved, so she can pick up right where she left off, and this point you want to pick up on the iPad.
Absolutely. So you can see that my creative profile is right there. There I am. And here's my project. Now, I love to edit to music. So adding a music cue is just as straightforward as adding a new video clip. You can either access music saved on your the music library in your device, or you can use one of the built-in themes in Premiere Clip that are all pre-licensed, so you have no worries about the legalities of the music that you're using. So let's see how this cue looks with this. Yeah, I think that works with the feeling of the piece. So the other thing I noticed is that this clip here is 20 seconds long, where all of my other clips are like 5 to 8 seconds. So I want to shorten this clip, but I love this lens flare right there at the beginning. So I'm going to pull this back from the back. Let's see. Yeah, that's much better. Now, because this is all about the clothing and the rich, graphics on the textiles, I'd like to add a preset color grade that'll just bump up the colors. Now, Premiere Clip has all these great built-in color grades that you can choose from.
And I should note that these come from the Speed Grade collection. So these are some of the most popular treatments used by professional colorists and video editors.
Absolutely. You can do anything from something really extreme, like this Dreams, which is a little more extreme than maybe we're going for in this shoot. Or you can do something that just really bumps up the colors but keeps in keeping with the original feel of the shoot. Yeah, like that. I think that works really well. OK, so I'm really liking the way that this is working. So I could share it directly to social media right here from Premiere Clip. But there was one shot that I actually would like to do a little bit more with, and I'd love to leverage the full feature set of Premiere Pro. So I'm going to send it over to my desktop.
And so again, creative profile at work here. You can jump right over to Premiere Pro on the desktop.
Absolutely. And you'll notice that once I bring in my Premiere Clip project file, not only do you see all of the clips that we started with over in Premiere Clip, but also my full timeline started on my iPhone is now available to work with in Premiere Pro. So awesome, right?
Very awesome.
OK. So I mentioned there was one clip that I wanted to do a little more with. It's this one here. The light on the clothing is really beautiful, which is really the point of this. But the model's face is a little overexposed. So I want to apply a color grade that will only affect her face as she moves through the clip. So I'll just apply that color grade. And now, all new in this version of Premiere Pro, we have a free draw pen tool. Of course, we're working with a face on this, so I'm just going to go ahead and use an ellipse, put it right over her face. Okay. And all new in this version of Premiere Pro, I can manipulate the feathering right here in the program monitor. So no need to futz with the numbers over here. And wait for it, the best part, Premiere Pro's tracking of this mask will follow the model's face as she moves through the clip. So it's only applying the effect to that face.
So super, super awesome. There you have it. Premiere quality editing across iPhone, iPad, and finishing your work in Premiere Pro. Megan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott.
I paid a visit to see motion graphics and video production specialist Michael Petit to get his tips and most loved After Effects CC features since the launch of the Creative Cloud. Mike, great to meet you. Thank you so much for having us here.
Good to meet you too.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
So I'm a motion graphics artist based here in Media City, working for the BBC and for other broadcast clients.
And what sorts of projects do you mainly work on?
I do things for children's programmes, for current affairs programmes, sport content, creating animated graphics, title sequences, also working with correcting footage, doing green screen work, things like that.
Great. You've got actually quite a lot of heavy graphics production areas down here, particularly with BBC, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, CBBC, children's, they do so much graphics work across their programmes, sport as well, use a lot of graphic content. So yeah, there's plenty of work out there.
Yeah, very good. And how important is it, do you think, to be within a media city in this sort of environment?
I think having the proximity to Media City is great for the kind of work that I do, because it allows clients to come in, take a look at the work I'm doing as it's work in progress, or even earlier than that, we can have meetings really easily, either in the office here, or I can go over and meet them and see what they're after. So I think that's really great. And also when we're in production, it means that I can be a bit more responsive and be there in person. A lot of people, although we can work online over email and things like that, people do still like,
face-to-face is important,
it's still a great thing to have.
So you've been working with the Creative Cloud since launch and Creative Suites prior to that. What are the benefits of being a member of the Creative Cloud to you?
I think for a lot of people in the past, the creative packages have been prohibitively expensive. And now with the subscription model, for most working freelancers or businesses, you know, the subscription fee that's charged, I think, is small money really. I think also the ability to always be up to date with the latest software is great. The more and more people that have that and use it in that manner mean that you've got less fragmentation, you've got people on
easier
different
collaboration.
Exactly.
And that sort of
so if there's another graphics facility down the road and they're on CC and I'm on CC, hopefully we're both on the latest version because we've all clicked update. And we've got less of that issue when we're trying to share files and things like that, which would have happened all the time in the past when people haven't bought that upgrade box, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of us being able to give you the latest codecs, how important is that sort of thing, the updates, the new features?
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic with all these new camera formats coming out and the need to do things like stabilization with drone footage, things like that, keying things out, all needing to be done better, quicker. All this new functionality that's being added all the time really helps with that.
Great. And which products within the Creative Cloud then, in terms of the desktop apps, do you mainly use?
Predominantly with doing video work, I use After Effects and Premiere Pro. I do also use, alongside that, Photoshop, Illustrator, Audition, so quite a broad number of tools.
Yeah, and you have them all open and kind of working a lot of the time.
Yeah, as much
together,
as my
right?
PC will manage, I'll load as many up as I can. But that's the great thing about it, the fact that you can have After Effects open and be working on an Illustrator document and change some text in the Illustrator document and then save that file, open it up in After Effects, and it's already updated. There's no saving it out and loading back in again. It's all linked, so having them all open works fine.
Great, and you're going to show us some of the features that you most use, within After Effects?
Yeah, predominantly with After Effects, but also to just show some of the integration between not only some of the Adobe packages like Adobe Premiere, but also with some third-party applications like Cinema 4D from Maxon.
Yeah, that's great integration between After Effects and Cinema 4D, isn't it? And these are features that have come around since the launch of CC. You're kind of giving us features from the launch up until present day, the latest and greatest as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Great. Can we take a look at what you've got to show us first? Thank you.
One of the new features in the latest release of CC After Effects is the combination of Keylight, which is a great keying tool for green screen, blue screen work, things like that, with another couple of keying tools which allow you to just clean up the edges and refine a key which might not look perfect. These are Key Cleaner, Advanced Spill Suppressor, and they've all been combined together into a preset, and it just makes the keys look that little bit better and give you a little bit more control as well, especially when you've got compressed footage that's been shot on, say, a DSLR or something like that. It gives a more professional finish to your key. So I've got some footage here from a local football team. We've got some players that we're going to key out, and we're going to use that as like a lineup video at the start of every home game on the big screen and around the ground, so that the fans around the stadium can see who's going to be playing for their team that day.
Yeah.
So this is one of the players for the team against a green screen. First thing I need to do on this is, because of the way the thing was shot, we just need to do a little bit of a mask just to clear up some of these lights that are in shot, just so that we're focusing on the subject and the green. So
Sure, there's no need to be doing work where we don't need to, right?
exactly. So I mean, that's dead quick. This is my end frame, so I just need to check that this isn't cutting off anywhere. So he's masked out nicely. I'm just going to scrub through, just check I'm not chopping his head off anywhere. Looks fine to me. So now we're just focusing on that area. So in our effects and presets, I just need to search for key light, which I say would be the tool I would normally use to do this kind of thing. But now you can see we've got an additional preset, which is key light plus key cleaner plus advanced spill suppressor.
It's a catchy title.
It is, yeah, but it works great. It works great. So I'll just drop that straight onto that clip. Doesn't do anything to begin with, because first I need to actually sample the colour. So I take the eyedropper as normal from key light, drop that on to the green, and you'll see, to most people's eyes, it looks like it's kind of done. So if we change it to just the alpha channel, you'll see that there's still some grey appearing in the background, the edges a little bit distorted, things like that. So there's some adjustments to be done here. The first thing I would always do is go into the screen matte in key light, just adjust the black level on that, and again the white slightly. And we've got a pretty, to be honest, we're pretty clean key there.
And this is the way that you kind of standard to work in key light, isn't it?
It's a great, really, really powerful tool. Normally, when you load in key light, it will automatically switch to the final result, and will do a really good job usually of sorting out your edges, and you've got controls for softness, shrink, things like that. But with combination with the key cleaner and the advanced spill suppressor, you've got even more control. So with these new effects, if I put it back over to RGB, we come in and focus on the edges here a little bit. Let's see if we can find some around his hair. If we kind of play that back, you can see a little bit of chatter on the edges there.
And by chatter you mean kind of it's not quite clean, there's some maybe spill from the back
some
cloth
spill from the back cloth. You can probably see a little bit more actually here in the hair. There's some shimmering in the edges on the image, and you know, you can still see a little bit of the green. It's doing a pretty good job. If we enable the reduce chatter option within the key cleaner, that should help to eliminate some of that. So you can see it's actually taken some of the green away from the edge.
Blonde hair is particularly bad, isn't it, for picking up spill?
Yeah, I mean, it's more reflective. So you can see it's looking a little bit cleaner. And then the advanced spill suppressor will do even more of a job to reduce the green. And you can see it's taken away the green.
Taking that colour tint away, hasn't it?
Yeah. If we go back to our full image, and you can see, I mean, if you put it into alpha and go for a bit of a ride around the edge, especially with compressed footage, you can end up being a bit too aggressive with the edging, and you'll end up with overly soft or overly contrasty sharp edges, and this does a really, really good job of a nice natural edge to things, because you still want it to look like it's sort of sat in whatever footage you're going to put it into.
Yeah, you don't want it too graphic-y,
you don't want it to look like a cardboard cutout. So this, as I say, this does a great job of that.
This kind of opens up a lot more possibility to people doing green screen work that maybe don't necessarily have the best setup, or you know, the kind of the best cameras. With this sort of key, you can still get a decent result, can't you?
Absolutely ideal for that. I mean, you know, in an ideal world, you'd be shooting in 4:4:4:4 color space with fantastic cameras. You know, spending a fortune in a studio, but a lot of people, especially, you know, who use things like Premiere and After Effects, maybe doing online video content, commercial work, or even for TV shows, they don't necessarily have you know, the budget to spend on using those kind of cameras. Using these effects combined, you're going to get a closer match to the kind of higher end kit.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah, that looks great, isn't it? So what have you got to show us next?
Next up, I'm going to show you a really great new feature with After Effects and also with Premiere, which is live text templates. It's really, really great, because what I find often when I'm doing motion graphics work is you'll end up creating a graphic with some text on it, handing it over to an editor as a rendered bit of footage, and that's where you know, that's how it ends. And if they ever want to make any changes, they've got to come back to me. I've got to render it again, and you've got this constant back and forth.
It's a bit of a process, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very time consuming, and you know, it's costing the client money. It's you know, it's time consuming for me, etc., etc.
And the other option is that the editor actually has to go into the After Effects project. They may not be very comfortable in there and familiar with it. Plus, they could mess up your work, right?
True. So I'm going to jump back into our composition we had before with the football player.
Yeah.
Add a few extra layers, just to build it up a little bit more. So now if we scrub through, you'll see that we've got this sort of wipe where we reveal the player, and then we've got text showing the number of the player and his name. Now, rather than having to come back into After Effects and change that text, what we can do with live text templates is make the text layers customizable within Premiere Pro. So the way I do that is I lock all of the layers apart from the two text layers that I want to leave editable, which is the Joe Mason and the number 9. Before you can use this as a template within Premiere, you need to make sure that you enable it as a template within the composition settings within After Effects. And that's just a simple tick box within the advanced controls in the composition settings. If you click that, any unlocked text layers in the composition, as I've just done, will remain editable within Premiere. So if I click OK on that, and then if I jump into Premiere,
So this is great. You create this template once, provide it once, and then they can, what do they duplicate it different times within Premiere to use for the different players?
in this instance, I'd be creating individual compositions for each player with the
With the
video
number
player.
correct? Or,
I mean, well, you could have them as separate layers. So
Yeah.
you could have all the players as individual video clips, and then just have the one master text template that just overlays over the top with an alpha channel, and then they can just change the text.
Yeah.
So there's always that same wipe, and then they can just punch in the players. And it's ideal for a situation like this, where throughout a season, you know, the players can change. They can go on loan, or they can be injured, or they can get, you know, new transfers in January and things like that. So it's absolutely fantastic for that.
So you're kind of doing yourself out of a bit of work here, but
A little bit.
it's better that people have more control over what they're doing, right?
Exactly. So now I'm in Premiere, I'm going to import that After Effects project and bring in that composition and see if we can edit the text.
Yep.
So now it's giving me the option to choose. I'm going to check that Joe Mason composition, bring that in. So now that composition's loaded into Premiere, I just need to load it up into the source monitor. So you can see, just double check it's there. Looks exactly as it did in After Effects. If I jump into the effects controls, we should see now that we've got the two text layers, the squad number and the player name, available to edit. And there you go, we've got the number 9 and Joe Mason. Now I think for this little demo, I think I'll make myself a Bolton Wanderers player.
Become a football player for sure for the day.
And I don't like the number 9. I think I'll go with.
You've got a great name as well for a football player.
You think?
Yeah.
So I'll have number 7. And we can see straight away, if we go back to our source window, that it's changed that.
Fantastic.
It's really,
it's
really
so
simple.
easy, isn't it?
And then I can drop that into a timeline, you know, and obviously apply that to numerous players. It's really, really great because it just gives you that option to hand over a certain amount of the editing of the graphic to the video editor, as opposed to having to come back to me every time they want to make a little text
And this
change.
sort of thing's going to save productions a lot of money, right?
Exactly.
Just being able to do this for themselves.
Yeah.
Great.
Precisely.
So this next project looks really exciting. We've got flames, we've got action sequences. What are you about to show us here?
Yeah, so this is another project I'm doing for a client. It's called Total Warrior. Basically, it's a big event where people run around in muddy fields and do obstacle courses and things like that.
Very popular at the moment.
Yeah, really, really popular. So one of the obstacles is a fire jump. And we've got some footage here, close-up shot of a guy jumping over the fire, landing in a pool of mud below. All looks great. When I got this bit of footage from the camera operator, I thought this will make a really good plate for a title. You can see we've got some text underneath there. We've got the Total Warrior text.
Yeah.
But when I was playing it through, I thought we can maybe make this a little bit more interesting than just having him jump over. And I thought, what if we could make his body cover up that text? So we've got the text almost like it's set in the fire, and then the guy jumps over it and he kind of obscures it and then splashes over it and all that
Yeah,
sort of
we've got
stuff.
some proper depth going on in the shot.
Yeah. And obviously, traditionally you would do this by rotoscoping frame by frame with masks, and it would be really time consuming. Now, to get around this is a really great feature in After Effects. It's been around for quite a while in After Effects, which is called the Roto Brush tool, and it allows us to really quickly perform a rotoscope effect, but without the painstaking keyframing of each frame of the mask, which is, you know, very, very time consuming. And they've also added recently the Refine Edge tool, which is taken from Photoshop.
Photoshop, exactly. Yeah.
And that allows us to fine-tune that edge, because sometimes with the rotor brush tool, it does a pretty good job, but you often get a little bit of chatter on the edges, and it's not quite smooth enough. So that Refine Edge will actually analyse the edge of the mask, and just make sure that any sort of fine details or anything are kind of perfected.
Great.
So I'll just go ahead and show you a little bit of how I've done that. So what we want to try and do is just quickly get rid of his leg from this shot. So I'll take the rotor brush tool up here. I will double click on that layer, bring it into just isolated basically on its own, take my pen and then just simply draw an outline around there. And you can see quite quickly it finds that. I mean, it's amazing. It's
incredible because it's kind of really similar colours going on in that shot between him and the background, isn't it?
I mean, every time I use it, I'm kind of like, what?
It's mind-blowing.
It's kind of mad how well it does the job.
Yeah.
And you don't really have to do a great deal. I mean, I just slightly overdid a little bit there, but if you kind of, if you press the Alt key on the keyboard,
you subtract.
You're effectively subtracting from the mask, and there you can see it's isolated that. Now all you've got to do is I use page up and page down on my PC to just cycle through frames, and you've just got to go through and check if there are any imperfections. So I can see there's a little bit of breakup around the edge of the flame in his leg. Just clean that up again.
Just sorts it out, doesn't it, straight away?
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It's fantastic. So I can just jump through this. Get rid of that bit there.
And you're having to do a little bit of tweaking here, but compared to what you would have had to do before, kind of frame by frame, it's just it's super fast, isn't it?
I mean, I remember doing this kind of stuff without the rotor brush, and it's extremely time consuming. So just to double check on that edge, just to see how good of a job it's actually doing, I'm just going to have a look at the alpha boundary, which basically isolates that image now that we've rotor brushed it, and you can see that although it looks like it's doing a good job, you've still got all these rough edges around, and it's it's not particularly great.
Are you going to refine this now?
Yes, yes. So now here comes the Refine Edge tool. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, just to make sure that this edge is really nice and clean, is to use the Refine Edge tool. So that will analyse the edge of the rotor brush effect, and just double check basically that everything is perfect. And you'll see the effect as I run it along. So you're just painting the edges effectively.
It's just the way it works in Photoshop.
Yeah. And you can see if you zoom right in, now it's really analysing that edge and checking. I mean, it even looks like it's picking up hairs on the leg, and it's incredible how detailed it gets. And I'll just run it along here. It's really great for hair and things like that.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And you're basically saying, take a better look at the mask in this area.
Exactly. Yeah. And it will continue again, it will continue to analyse that, and you can clean it up and remove it as and when you need to, which is great. And then we can come back into our composition, turn that layer back on. So you can see, I mean, that's a really nice edge, and there's motion blur here from the actual source footage, and it's still finding the edge really, really well. And in true Blue Peter fashion,
have you got one you made earlier?
I have got one I made earlier.
Excellent. You're actually allowed to say this as well, aren't you? You do a lot of work for Blue Peter, don't you?
So I've gone ahead and analysed all that footage, done the rotor brush and the Refine Edge tool, and we can see now the completed rendered composition playing back with the guy jumping over the text and revealing it, and fire and all sorts. And I've added a few bits of displacement to the text and some particle effects and things.
To really
just to kind of
sit it in the background there,
to really
isn't
sell
it?
it. He glides over the top of it,
isn't it?
and it just as if he's kind of going straight over the text.
Very cool.
And it's so much quicker. I mean, to do that by hand with masks would just take forever.
And it looks like you shot it green screen and tightly composited it all in. Except for it doesn't, because it's real,
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant.
So it's a really, really nice tool to use. I've used it on loads of things, whether it be projects like this or BBC titles, things like that. So, it's used a great deal.
Thanks so much for all of those features. That's really, really useful for everybody out there, I know. Can you give some advice to people who are joining the industry? Tell us sort of the secrets of your success.
Well, if we're going to be talking about the software, if you wanted to learn the skills, I think the important thing is to get out there and actually get hold of the packages. That's how I learnt it. When I was back at college and university, I got hold of the software and I started using it, and I was doing my own little projects with my dad's camcorder, using Premiere Pro in my bedroom as a kid, and just learnt it myself, basically. I mean, there's loads of great tools out there. You can do training, you can do tutorials online. The internet is such a great resource for it. Try and get yourself some work experience, get on a production, and try and learn some practical skills from some of the craft people out there, from your camera operators, editors, motion graphics artists, and network as much as you can. And then also get on things like Behance, which is a great sort of portfolio.
Really good way to
website.
showcase your work.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and you'll find some great examples of other people's work on there.
And along with Behance, we sort of touched upon the other services that are a part of the Creative Cloud. What are the things that you particularly find useful?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the additional features on top of just the software as it is, which is obviously fantastic. There's some really, really great stuff that's been added as part of CC. So things like Typekit for font syncing is just brilliant. Fonts are an expensive thing a lot of the time, and they can really lift, certainly motion graphics work, can really lift a piece and make it unique and give it a certain style.
And when you're looking at sharing documents, for example, Photoshop documents, things like that, with somebody else collaborating with other illustrators, other creators, if they've not got those fonts on their machine, Typekit will automatically go grab them for them, won't they, with the Creative Cloud account. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, file sharing is great. So you can obviously, with the Creative Cloud, you get 20 gigabytes of storage with your license, which is fantastic. So you can store pretty much any type of file. Certainly with things like Illustrator and Photoshop files, you've got even more deeper integration with that. So you can look at the layers and you can do a bit more of a review and approval approach to things, which is fantastic. I also have started to use Adobe Muse to create my own website.
Yeah,
it's always been
brilliant product.
Yeah, it's always been a little bit of a barrier for me to be able to code a website. I'm not completely useless when it comes to coding, but I always think I don't want to spend my entire life learning code, and Muse gives me that really visual, tangible tool that's quite similar to things like Photoshop. I mean, for me, it's like the Photoshop of making websites. Everything's layered and everything feels really intuitive. I think anyone with a little bit of computer knowledge could go out there and use it, and it's something I've added to my business. I offer that as a service now, and that's great to add value for something that I'm paying £46 a month or whatever for. It's great.
So you've got that continuity of interface, haven't you, so that you can move between these different applications and start to pick things up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's another thing with the CC approach. It feels like all the applications are now becoming more aligned, which is great, because I think when I first started out using things like Photoshop and Premiere and After Effects and things like that, they felt like they were kind of developed by different teams. I'm sure they are still, but it feels now it's a lot more joined up.
It's that
and
common
the integration
interface
is
more.
just so much more interwoven. It's fantastic.
Yeah, excellent. And then things where with Adobe Muse as well, you've got all of those marketplace templates to start working with as well, haven't you? So you're not even starting from scratch with your web production.
That's the great thing about Adobe, because it's kind of the market leader in this kind of stuff. There's all these additional things, templates, whether it be for Muse, for After Effects. There's so many extra tools out there on the internet to kind of plug in.
Lots of assets within Marketplace as well, right?
Exactly. So that's a really nice little addition as well, being able to find little useful bits of illustration, vector graphics, things like that. It's nice to kind of supplement my work.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your insights with us. We really appreciate it. And I'm so glad you're getting the most out of the Creative Cloud. I hope that we catch up with you again soon.
Brilliant.
We really want to hear from you, so take part in our Twitter competition by sending in a creative tweet to tell us about your top Creative Cloud features. Our Adobe panel of judges will select their favourite tweet from each Northern European country: Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland and the UK. The winners will receive a 12-month membership to the Creative Cloud. But not only that, the overall tweet from all the regions will win a Microsoft Surface Pro 3. So get posting your tweets using the hashtag #CreateNow. The competition is open from midday on the 10th of November till midnight on the 13th of November. And you can see full details, terms and conditions at this URL. Good luck. My colleague Johan is in Sweden now with After Effects CC and Cinema 4D expert Anders Prince to give his top Creative Cloud video and 3D features.
Thanks, Iona. Today I'm joined by Anders Printz, who's the graphic designer working at Swedish Television at their in-house production team. And it's really cool to be here with you today, actually, to talk about some of these cool projects and the workflows you guys have been working with. Now, let's deep dive in one of the projects you've actually been working on lately, and see what you've been working with.
Yeah.
Would love to. Okay, just talk me through what.
Yeah, we are two guys working on this project. My dear friend Sirnir, who's from Iceland, and he just started working with us, and he has a Cinema 4D background. And we started with doing a previs animatic that looks like this. And it's mostly drawings. He just put it in so you can understand how it's going to look when it's finished. And this is what he showed to the customer. And they really loved it, loved the music and everything about it. He also made a very quickly previs in cinema. That he rendered and sent to them, just to make them feel for the 3D and so on. And after this, I took over, and he went on another project. So I started with some just trying to do the different things, and it was my first time in cinema. So I tried to do the chocolate, I tried to do the cherries. I think I downloaded them and then started manipulating them. And also tried to output null objects from cinema to After Effects to replace with different muffins. So this was the first experiments. And after that, I tried to do my first muffins. Not very good if I look at them now, but then I got some photos from the production. So my friend Sirnir, he was working with the production design. So he made this.
So that's all basically done in just a fake kind of a tool, just how it's going to be looking like.
Or more or less. No, this is actually built. This is the real one.
Okay. It looked almost like it was fake.
Yeah, and that's very thankful actually, because that's make it easier to create in 3D.
Yeah.
So here was the production. I think he went around with his telephone, just taking photos. And here you go, Anders. Just take some inspiration from this. Okay, cool. So that's how it's going to look like. And that helped me decide the colors. So it started to look very differently. And I tried to do chocolate, just trying to simulate chocolate.
That looks delicious. It looks very organic.
Oh, thank you. Great. And creating some strawberries, creating some new muffins, creating a cake bottom. And here's some downloaded cherries again.
They look so real.
Yeah, they do. And I think they are from some grayscale gorilla or something.
Okay.
I thought they were cool. And then I tried to do motion out of this. I had the animatic in background. This was the first version that I sent to the customer. I just asked them, is this enough? Yeah, we love it a lot. And my production leader told me, no, it's a little too much 50s in the colors.
It looks very quiche.
And I was aiming for quiche, but when you sit and work with it 24 hours a day, you tend to go into overdrive. So
and that one too. Look at that.
That was the first simulation of the chocolate, and I just realized that it was going to work. And I told my production leaders that this is going to be one extra day if you want chocolate. And he said, just do the chocolate. So here's the almost finished version. This was the second video that I sent to them, and you see it's an MPEG-4. I just put it through media encoder so they could see it on the telephone, in the mail, and so on. And they really, really loved it, apart from one thing, and it was the liquids. They wanted some other color. So in After Effects, I just changed the hue value for this, and it was very, very quickly. All the things I did after what you saw is made in After Effects. So just changing hue and so on.
So talk about the workflow between Cinema 4D and After Effects. Is it how has that helped you working on a project like this? I mean, it looks like, as you were saying, you know, changing a color looked very easy, as if it was a simple task.
Absolutely. I was not. If I knew that Cinema and After Effects wasn't together with Cineware, I wouldn't have done this project.
Cineware is we should say as well, Cineware is one of your favorite tools.
Absolutely, yeah. And I really like it. I know the old ways to put object buffers on things, but working with layers in Cinema is so much better, because you can put the cake, for example, on one layer in front and another layer for some background stuff and so on. And then you can layer them in After Effects as well. And it supports transparency. You don't have that in the object buffer. So it was really, really easy to change things.
Yeah, that's a good tip if you're gonna try this out at home yourself.
Yeah.
Cool. Carry on. Sorry, I was interrupted you.
Yeah, I'm really into this now. I'm sorry. So this is the final version. And I was really tired of cakes and stuff. I had a lot of cakes at home for reference, so I gained 7 kilos.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously. And I asked my wife to start creating, what do you call it, cupcakes?
Yeah, cupcakes.
Yeah, because I was so...
My kid loves, she's just 2.5 years old, she loves cupcakes. And she watched, actually, we're seeing the promo here, she watched this TV program together with me, and she was like, well, she's too young to be able to join that competition, but it was so cool to see it. And I said, oh, I know that guy who did this project. So cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, carry on.
Okay, after the main title graphics was done, you can easily create everything else from that. Every sign you see here is done in Photoshop, so they load it in the edit room and can just edit new names and so on, and just make pictures from it. So every name sign here is done in Photoshop.
Cool.
This was the final one.
Do you use any kind of other tools to make that, you know, automatic, or is just done, you know, as static Photoshop?
For this project, for other projects, I've been using the possibility to use text in Premiere, for example. But for this project, the editor was very well known. He knows Photoshop a lot, so he knows. He just put on some different layer styles and so on that you like, so I can tweak them afterwards.
Okay.
Because he wanted to tweak them to the picture before and the picture after and so on. So he was a Photoshop guy. Yeah. So it was just giving them.
This is the scoreboard.
Yeah, for the same program. Yeah.
Cool.
And I reused a lot of things from the main title. In this one, and here's this didn't make it to the final. This was supposed to be the point system from the start. Then they built a point system in the studio. The point system in the studio was balls in a big pipe, and the balls was it didn't work out.
Okay.
They have to throw it out. So that's why you see this one.
Okay.
That's the also some name signs for the kids. And this is how you present. I know this is bad typewriting. It doesn't work out really, but if you give an alternative, maybe you can sneak in a better logo.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you went back to what you gave as a tip, to always give the client 2 versions of something. Awesome.
And they were about 3 or 4 people who looked at everything I sent to them. So it was about 3-4 emails back to me. So it was very nice to see that they maybe lend over all 4 of them to another picture. There you see the movement. And there's also a pro tip in the program where a chef comes forward and speaks about how he's making different cakes for the kids. And here's a presentation of what they're going to do today. So they are creating different cakes, and this is the presentation for more name science.
Do you get, in terms of the presentation, do you get the material beforehand so you know, okay, they're going to be doing cupcakes, going to be doing, before you present what they're going to be talking about? Or is that up to you guys to just...
Yeah, it's up to our guys because she's recording the speaker in her room and she sent me WAV files. And okay, cupcake, I have to Google it. So that's why I started eating so much, because I started reading about it and that sounds good. Wow, I have to buy. And I went to the bakery and ordered stuff. And,
cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's part of the job. You need to do research.
It is. It's really true. I developed a stomach during this project.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, was that the end then, or is that the last part?
Yeah, I have some kind of different wipes, and they were very quickly made. They only had about 3 or 4 hours to make all the wipes, so it was just extracting things from the main title, for example, the particles that's made in After Effects, chocolate, and so on, just on a different angle. And the balls. I didn't have the time to animate them in Cinema 4D because I pressed render and I saw, okay, no.
It's going to take too long.
So I just took one of the balls and I think I used Newton to just let them go down, and then I opened the 2 solids and they fall away.
Fell down like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, and I accepted every wipe here, so they're in the program.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun.
So, all in all, to summarize, how long did this project take for you with the workflow that you just went through? How long did it take? From end to end?
About 2 weeks, from end to end, with main title and everything you see.
That's amazing. So. That's incredible. And that's all we had for today. And I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm joined by Alex and Mike and my colleague Niels, who looks after the pro video business for Adobe in the UK, which means he is up to date with the very, very, very latest features. So let's get a bit of an update from him as to what came out in the October release.
Thanks, Iona. Yeah, you're quite right. Creative Cloud moves on apace. These constant updates are like a juggernaut now. You know, they keep coming constantly. October was no exception. We announced a bunch of new features around IBC and focused on them for the Max releases. One of the main new features is the consolidate and transcode function. That really underpins our open format workflow. That now gives you the ability to have a greater degree of portability to your projects. You can actually consolidate and transcode down to an intermediate format, for example, GoPro or MXF, DNX HD. Equally, applying that to After Effects workflows, that means you can flatten down and render in place any of your After Effects comps if you need to actually send that work across to people of lesser performance systems.
And guys, is this something that's going to be useful in your workflows, this sort of feature?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've just recently done a project with lots of mixed formats, and although it worked in my head and the timelines kind of all made sense to me, there was a lot of nesting of different codecs when I had to do sort of warp stabilization with GoPro shots using sort of MXF files from an F5, ProRes footage from a Blackmagic Cinema camera. And there were occasions where I'd like to hand that over to another editor, not necessarily knowing whether their machine would be able to cope with that material. Yeah. So having the option to take that entire timeline or project, say, and consolidate it and transcode it into a format that is, more suited to run on lesser powerful hardware or more likely to work across other machines is great. And the render and replace with After Effects is ideal for me. I do a lot of After Effects work and also embed it a lot within video projects that I do. Yeah. And to be able to just right click and render and replace that when I know that I've got a locked picture on that motion graphics effect is great, because although the dynamic link does work really well,
Yeah.
you know, you're not going to get smooth playback. So if I want to do a client review of a full edit, you know, I don't want to be waiting for it to be calling into After Effects to kind of play that clip.
Yeah,
I know,
absolutely.
right, they're happy with that graphic, I'll render it, and it will just play with the rest of the video clips fine. So it's great for me.
And of course, you're still left with the flexibility of the fact that in transcoding and flattening down to 12-bit GoPro with alpha, it's resolution independent all the way from SD up to UHD. You've still actually got the flexibility of those layers of actually being able to have some granularity in the comps when you work with them.
So Niels, what's the next feature?
Well, we've actually improved a couple of the features that we introduced earlier this year in Premiere CC. So the mask tracking, for example, you've now got Bezier curves and you've got the ability to create much more sophisticated, ornate shapes. And in terms of the master clip effects, you've now got a greater deal of visual feedback in terms of what you're actually altering in the timeline, whether it's a master clip or an actual sequence clip.
And Alex, you actually showed the previous version of that feature in action earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, so the feature I showed in a little demonstration was 4-point polygon mask, but the ability to actually draw more points around a more complicated shape within Premiere is kind of a big plus, because there's a lot of things you could use that for, such as drawing a shape around someone to add a vignette or something.
Yeah.
There's tons of stuff you could
Gives
use
you
that
loads more accuracy and something you'd have had to do in After Effects.
Yeah, absolutely.
previously.
Yeah. I would have had to previously gone out to After Effects,
That's right.
but now I can stay within the one application, so that's all good.
Great.
And next up is...
So one thing we've done is kind of, we've gone back to the drawing board on a lot of the productivity sort of workflow-based features. I'm sure you guys agree you spend a lot of time versioning things for different durations or different strap lines or whatever else. So a while ago we introduced the capability of having multiple simultaneous media browsers. We also allow you to preview sequences within projects before you commit to importing them, particularly if they're quite long. And we've also introduced the concept of search bins, which allows you to kind of sift through a heavily populated bin with lots of clips in it and essentially save a set of links or shortcuts, if you like, to those clips and have them quickly retrievable.
And Alex, I imagine for you, particularly with the documentary project, something with lots of different rushes and media type that you're needing to kind of find these different types of clips really easily, that's going to help you, right?
Yeah, being able to create a new bin that's got all the clips with a certain key phrase in would be quite useful, actually. I can think of a number of uses for that.
Good to get your hands on.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
And how about in After Effects? Have you got a top new feature for us?
Well, similarly, in terms of workflow, we've got the copy with property links function, and we've approved that now to also include copy with relative property links. That, again, allows you to create an original master comp and then create some relatives of that where the changes ripple through. So I'm sure you'll probably make use of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's really useful for me a lot of the time when I'm doing graphics. It's a case of creating a master of a particular graphics, whether it be a strap or a wipe, or it might be a particular statistic I'm displaying as a full frame graphic, but I'm reversioning it for various bits of different information. So it will speed up the process a lot more for me for just versioning things from a master composition. So I can imagine that being really useful. Yeah,
big time saving.
Great, Niels, thank you very much. And
Not at
I
all.
hope you guys enjoy those brand new features as well. We really want to hear from you, so take part in our Twitter competition by sending in a creative tweet to tell us about your top Creative Cloud features. Our Adobe panel of judges will select their favourite tweet from each Northern European country: Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland and the UK. The winners will receive a 12-month membership to the Creative Cloud. But not only that, the overall tweet from all the regions will win a Microsoft Surface Pro 3. So get posting your tweets using the hashtag #CreateNow. The competition is open from midday on the 10th of November till midnight on the 13th of November. And you can see full details, terms and conditions at this URL. Good luck. Animal is the Adobe After Effects CC innovation project recently revealed at Adobe Max. Let's take a look.
I'm trained as a filmmaker, so I'm so happy to show you our next piece, which is codenamed Animal and is in the Pro Video segment. Now, Animal
is a tool that we're playing with around character animation. So if you've ever done character animation before, you know that the process of timing your animations to video or audio can be very tedious, time-consuming, and it's certainly not expressive. It's not easy, and it's not fun. So we've tried to do some of that stuff inside of Animal. I've got a PSD loaded up inside of Animal right now, and we'll start by using touch. I can interact with this guy just by reaching in and touching the screen. I'll grab his hand here and go, "Hi, everybody, how you doing?" So anyway, voice is not my forte. But I can wave and interact with him in that way, and I can record those animations as I'm doing it, which makes it a lot easier than having to go and keyframe this out.
But that was just touch. What about, audio and being able to capture gestures and things like that with the cameras on the screen?
Right, you've asked me, let me show you that one. I'm gonna pull up another character. This guy's Mr. Squiggles, I guess. And for Mr. Squiggles here, I'm gonna turn on my camera. 1 second to do that one. There it goes. Now, right by turning on the camera, Animal has recognized my face. I've done no setup. Animal just knows what a face looks like, and he's gonna follow me around, and he's fun, so that's cool. So just with the camera, I can now get in here and move around with it. It's fun.
That is really cool.
That is so cool.
So we saw touch, we saw camera.
What about speech?
Speech, we can do speech too. So I'm gonna turn on the microphone. And now, not only are we grabbing my audio to get the size of the mouth, but we're actually analyzing my speech, and we're getting the vowels. I can do a ooh or an ee, and we're gonna get that in there. So I can read my script, he'll speak alongside of it, and I can record this whole thing and use it for something else later.
I think that's really pretty cool. What do you think?
So Animal actually is available for beta today. If you go to adobe.com/go/animal, you can download this and get on the beta and start playing with that yourself.
You can find out more about Project Animal at this URL. That's all we've got time for, so thank you for watching, and a massive thank you to all of the video professionals who have taken time out to share their tips and advice with us. If you're interested in sharing the work that you've produced using the Creative Cloud and your tips as to how to get the best out of the applications, then do get in touch with me via Twitter @CreativeSneaks. Do take a look at the Digital Imaging Show and the Design, Web and Publishing Show. Details of those will follow shortly. And do also get involved in the fantastic competition. Here is how to enter. We really want to hear from you, so take part in our Twitter competition by sending in a creative tweet to tell us about your top Creative Cloud features. Our Adobe panel of judges will select their favourite tweet from each Northern European country: Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland and the UK. The winners will receive a 12-month membership to the Creative Cloud. But not only that, the overall tweet from all the regions will win a Microsoft Surface Pro 3. So get posting your tweets using the hashtag #CreateNow. The competition is open from midday on the 10th of November till midnight on the 13th of November. And you can see full details, terms and conditions at this URL. Good luck.